Hello, everyone. My name's Cash Miller. I'm the host of Emerging Brands Franchises on the Rise. And today we're talking pizza, which everybody loves. And if you don't, I can't help you. But, I've got with me David Perry. He's with Giovanni's Pizza. They are a franchise that's been around a long time, but it's actually one that's on the rise because they weren't always a traditional franchise operator, and they have gone this way. And there's a lot of opportunity for people that are interested in owning a pizza restaurant. David, it's great to have you on. Tell us, Giovanni's got a great backstory, so give us the rundown because you've been around a long time as a business.
Well, Cash, we appreciate you having us on. So we've been around 60 years, coming up this year. We got around 100 locations right now. We fully distribute all of our products to our stores. We control everything coming in and going out. The backstory, when the founder, Jim and Nancy LeMaster, founded us, they started their own restaurant. They had it a couple years. They gave it to their grandparents, helped their brother open one. They opened a third one, and eventually what happened was Jim decided that he was selling more products out the back than he was out the front. So he decided he wanted to get into some sort of franchising or distribution, and that's how Giovanni's Pizza started.
So hold on, you said they started and gave it to their
yeah
their grandparents.
I believe it. His mom and dad, I think, is who he gave it to. Yep.
So he gave it to his own mom and dad. That's like the reverse. Yeah.
Yeah. He gave it to them, and I know he gave it to them, and then started helped his brother open one, and then he opened one. So
and now, I mean, Giovanni's is, let's say, I know you mentioned before the show, it's Kentucky and West Virginia, Ohio. You guys are like getting branched out quite a bit, and you've got a number of stores, right?
Sure. Yep. Like I said, we're around 100. We got a couple in Virginia, one in North Carolina, one in Tennessee. We get a ton of interest. Right here, central, we're in a tri-state area, so we're heavily populated with Giovanni's here in this area.
So I'm going to ask you the most important question of all, because we're talking pizza. What makes your pizza better than everybody else's pizza? Because, I mean, that is, I don't care if I saw somebody that's like pizza was invented not in Italy, but in Spain or something recently. And I'm like, no, there's American pizza and we invented it here. I don't care what the rest of them say, So, and Giovanni's, of course, an Italian name, but, what makes it different as a product, from all these other ones that are out there? Because there's a lot of pizza restaurants. There's a lot of, and everybody's got their kind of favorites, whether it's New York style or Chicago or whatever it might be.
Sure. And that's funny you say that. A lot of people ask, oh, what style do you represent most? And our vice president one time, he said, we're more Appalachian. So that's kind of the term that we've used around here. But what makes us different from everybody else is we use all premium products. And our recipes have been the same since 1964, since the conception. Like, we've not changed them. We continue what made us great from then to now. And another thing, I mean, Giovanni's is kind of like a legacy. You're born into it. You start eating it from the time you're a little kid, and then you teach your children how to eat it. That's how it goes.
Yeah, no, that's really good because, I mean, pizza, of course, is dominated by, Papa John's and Domino's and things like that. So you're saying that, if you're born into it, that means it's an experience, it's one of those things. It's a family night out. It's, you go and everybody gets that pizza. And I remember as a kid, my father would take me to, we had this one restaurant. I was living in California, in San Diego at the time, and they had the greatest. It was a Chicago style pizza, but I don't remember the name of the restaurant anymore. But man, I loved it when we went there. It was this deep dish, like, it was so good. And those are the things you remember, when you're like, and that's, pizza, I say, the family makes it more memorable.
Sure. And like I said, it's some of my earliest memories of pizza is Giovanni's.
Yeah. So before you started working there, you were a connoisseur of the product itself, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. My family ordered once a week, and then I would go to my friend's house because on Tuesdays, his mom would get us Giovanni's every
So you,
Tuesday.
so yeah, you had the day when the family ordered, and you knew when your friends were families were ordering too. That's great. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's it.
yeah, that's a true lover of the product there.
That's
Yeah.
it.
So describe the experience for a Giovanni's. What's the I guess you know what kind of business is it? Because we've got ones that are heavy on delivery when you're talking pizza or you know in restaurant experiences and things. How does Giovanni's operate?
Well, we have all models from buffet to dine in to just carry out pickup. But we have a heavy pickup volume, and we deliver, in a lot of areas, but a lot of times if we only deliver if there's a need to deliver. But pickup, we're heavy on pickup.
Hmm. Okay, so whenever we got something, when I'm talking to a franchise that's going to have a physical footprint. I like to, get a feel for what that looks like. Like how big are stores typically, for that? How much staff is usually needed to run a restaurant? Like I say, because they all vary based on the model, that they're going for. What does it look like for Giovanni's?
On average, you're probably looking 18 to 25 staff members.
Okay.
If I wanted to average it out across the 100 stores, I mean, you could go anywhere from 12 to 50, depending on our large stores.
Hmm. Okay. And what about physical footprint? Because obviously you got stores. So what's the square footage of a typical store?
Probably around 3,000.
Okay.
That's the typical. It's
Okay.
fairly, not too big, not too small.
Okay, good. So, it's definitely got its own, position. So let's go through, you know, everybody's always going to be concerned about costs, and restaurants can vary wildly, on what start takes to start one, So what does the investment when it comes to, from the franchise fee to the royalties to that store build out, because that's going to be one of your biggest things. Yeah. What does that part look like for a potential franchisee?
So we got a $15,000 franchise fee. We have a $5,000 opening fee, which is our entire staff there from open to close for a week. Um,
Holy crap.
yeah, yeah, open
Hold
to
on.
close.
You say entire staff. How many people are we actually talking here?
Five.
Okay.
We're five, but we're there the entire time. So
Yeah, to
open to
make sure
close.
the opening goes really smooth and everything. And so you end up jumping in to make some pizzas?
We typically end up, what we do is we train through the slow times with all the staff. And then when they start getting overwhelmed, we end up taking over. And a lot of times, because opening weeks are so much volume, we end up making 80% of the food that week.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
So you definitely are in a position that you got to get hands on, through those openings, which I think is good
absolutely.
from a franchisee's point of view, because that really says that the franchisor is invested. They want to see you successful, and they know restaurants are going to have some hiccups. When they first get open to get their operations smooth. You got a lot of people that have not been doing this, and they're just newly trained. So diving in and helping them with that is great.
Yeah, and there's a difference in operating an established pizza shop that the orders are coming through at a nice slow pace
Hmm.
versus doing an opening week when you're doing $1,000 to $1,500 an hour. Like
Wow.
that's a
Yeah.
lot of pizza.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, and I can see where the staff would, like I say, an inexperienced staff on top of it would get quickly overwhelmed by that. And that's your most important week, like of the business, because if you blow that, people are going to remember that their orders were messed up, and they're not going to come back.
You only get one chance to make a good first impression.
Yep. And definitely in the pizza business, that applies. Yeah. So, okay. So now you get into the build outs and stuff. What does it cost? And also, how long does it typically take, for facilities and stuff to be ready?
Well, build out wise, it's hard to really guesstimate that,
Yeah.
but you're looking at anywhere from 100,000 to as big as you want it, but normally around 500,
Okay.
somewhere around there. And we can't incorporate the real estate costs. The real estate costs what it costs if you're building from ground up.
Hmm.
So,
But
that just depends on the area.
yeah, and that's partly going to be to the franchisee if they want to go that route, or they can
Sure.
find a suitable location that's already been constructed and such.
Which would be like I've seen one go in for just a shade over 100. I think it was 104, 105 by the time it
Yeah,
went in, and it was the location, just worked.
yeah. So yeah, it's really going to vary market to market.
Sure.
So there's a bit of range there. How long does it take? And this will have a range too, but for the build out itself, and to hey, I signed up, I've given you money, to hey, we're opening our doors. What does that look usually look like?
Well, we're in the middle of one right now, and I think it's about 3,500 square feet, roughly 34, somewhere right in there. And it's a ground up, and he's looking at about 4 months till he opens.
Hmm. Well, if it's a ground up, that's not bad because you're building from scratch. You don't even have a
Sure.
physical building to work with. Which if it takes 4 months there, then it's going to be, if you find a suitable space, it's going to be a lot less.
Yeah, we were in the other one that I was speaking about for 100. We were in it in about 60 days.
Yeah. So so you can be up and running and operating, really in a relatively, a reasonable amount of time, really.
Yeah, no, it's fairly quick. Once you've been approved as a franchisee, the location's been approved. It's pretty quick from that point.
Yeah. So I got to ask, like, and I know every location is going to be a little bit of different, but what are typically the top line just sales numbers? Like, what can a store potentially do over the course of a year?
Well, I mean, they do vary. Our average unit volume is about 960,000, I believe, give or
Okay.
take. And I think the average unit volume for the pizza industry right now is about 760, 735, somewhere in there.
Okay, well, you led me to the next question though, because if you're saying the industry is about seven and you're higher, why? Why are you doing better than the industry standard?
Well, for one, we're not selling $12 pizzas. Like we
Okay.
we 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 are we're selling premium pizza and we're getting a premium price for it.
Mm. Okay, so yeah, so it's the product. It's not just, it's not just the ingredients. Yes, they're all fresh and everything, but it's also, your your pizza is being done so it stands out. It's not, don't compare it obviously to a Domino's or something like that because it is not. It is a much better pizza.
Yes. I would say that every day of the week. Yes.
Okay, so well, I got to ask, what's a pie run for then?
Well, so Domino, or here's the other thing too. So Domino's, I believe, like you're speaking to them, their large is a 14-inch. So
Yeah.
we don't have a traditional large. We go from a medium to an extra large, and then we have a super jumbo. So if you want a 19-inch super jumbo, it's a cheese run you somewhere anywhere from 15.85 to $19, depending on the area.
Well, for a 19-inch pizza, it's actually not that bad. So what you're doing is you're saying, hey, we're going to cut out a lot of the smaller ones. We're going to encourage people to just buy larger pizzas. And a lot of people will do it too. I know whenever we buy pizza as a family, we always end up buying extra because I know my kids will eat it the next day. And so I don't
Sure.
really, so I'm willing to spend a little more because it's going to often be the next meal too. Yeah. So that makes it a little easier to deal with, even if it's a little more expensive. So you're able to sell a larger pie, get a premium price on that, and it sounds like you're probably not as worried, like any of those, traditional fast food, like say Domino's and Pizza Hut and things like that. They're going to throw like coupons and things at you left and right,
Sure.
but I don't it doesn't sound like, I'm sure you use them, but it doesn't sound like, you're reliant on them.
No, we use them. Our biggest coupon, we do a what's a pick two party special, and you can get a 16 or a 19-inch two topping pizza and your choice of any two sides. You get a 10-inch cheese breadstick. I mean, one of our family size cookies or brownies, and they normally run anywhere between for the 19 $25 to $28, depending on the area. But I
Yeah.
mean, you can feed your family on it sometimes twice.
Dang. Yeah, because you got all the extras that go with it and stuff. So
Yeah.
so yeah, it's still a really good value deal, honestly. Especially with, the cost of eating out in general, these last few years. So, you know, you've definitely it's still affordable to go to a Giovanni's and have a good meal. Yeah, and you're not worried you're not breaking the bank every time.
Sure. Nope, absolutely. And one thing I was going to say that I think I kind of skipped over earlier as far as the franchise goes, we only have a 1% royalty. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, so anybody that ever tells me, you've got now my first question will be, is there anything else like a marketing fee or anything like that? Because that royalty is really low.
No. So we don't charge a marketing fee. Um, we don't charge a technology fee, but there
Okay.
is a required point of sale system that does have a monthly fee to it. But I mean, you have to have the point of sale to operate your business for online ordering and
Yeah.
this and that.
Yeah, sure. You're going to have that anyway. Okay. So that means, so that's why I got to ask then, if there's no other fees, why is the royalty fee low? Because I like to ask, and because potential franchisees, they want to know how the franchisor is making the money, and I assume it's going to be on, you're going to tell me the products. Yeah, because if you're the supplier, that's how you're doing it, which is fine. That's no problem, because your royalty fee is really low. So what's the rundown though? Because I could be wrong. So what does it look like? Because from the franchisors, from your point of view, your side of things.
Well, from my side, like I said, we're a distributor, so I mean, we control all the supplies coming in and coming out. Um,
Okay.
and then it allows us to keep the royalty low by doing it that way. Um, but at the end of the day, I mean, we want to work with good people and we want to make great food, and affording someone to decide that they want to change their family's wealth
Hmm.
by coming to be a Giovanni's, that means more to us than making money.
Wow. Yeah, there's definitely not a lot of franchises that will say that. Yeah.
We're
And
still family owned. We're
yeah.
we're we're family owned and operated. All of our stores are locally owned and operated. We have no corporate stores. Um,
Hmm.
we're just looking for good people.
Yeah, so you're 100% in on the franchisees being successful. And, because there's been a rise over the, last decade plus 20 years of certain franchisors that they become these brands where they operate multiples and stuff. And that's, they're in it to make the money. And you guys are, it sounds like you really are about, supporting, you know, families that become franchisees themselves and them being successful, which will make you in turn successful too.
Sure, is what built us.
Yeah.
Like we have families that it's moms, dads, brothers, sisters, grandparents that started, and then nephews. I couldn't even through the 70, 80 franchisees that we have, a lot of it's like that. We've never advertised our brand other
Hmm.
than a LinkedIn post or a Facebook post, but it's not really, we weren't even advertising
Yeah.
basically. We have it on our truck saying franchise is available. That's it. This is the biggest advertisement besides a local news show we've done.
Oh wow. Yeah, so okay. Well, then let me ask, I always like to, learn what the day in the, life of a franchisee is. Like what's their because you're gonna hire staffers, you're gonna have this location, but what are they doing, on a day-to-day basis within the business typically?
So a brand new franchisee, I mean, they're coming in and they are operating. They are coming in, they are making sure that everything's being prepped. They're checking their dough to make sure everything's proofed properly. They're checking everything that was done from the night shift to make sure that they are set to go for the day. Um, that's kind of how it goes there. Somebody brand new coming in to figure it out, because nobody's going to watch your money like you're going to watch your money. And until you
Yep.
know everything about it, you need to be in there as much as possible.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah. So, and I always, my personal philosophy has always been when it comes to like running businesses, the people that are running them, that own them, they need to understand the business. And that means, being willing to kind of, get your hands dirty, know what the people that work for you have to do and their jobs, what those entail, because the better they know what their people have to do and how everything works, the better the operation will be, but also the better managers, the better owners they're going to be too.
No, and that's absolutely correct. We've run into it a few times. People are like, "Oh, you work in an office," and I work in a pizza shop, and then we go work with them for a couple days, and then they're like, "Okay, so you can actually make food." Like that, they think because we work in the office all the time, we don't know how to do this stuff and
Right.
can't do it. And if you're going to own one, you need to know how to make everything, and you need to know better than everybody in your shop.
Yeah, you really do. I I think that's key, and I think in a lot of businesses that's really overlooked.
Sure.
So in this, you know, from a description point, this is really a hands-on type ownership situation for the franchisee. It's not it's definitely not absentee, or even semi-absentee. Although I would assume at some point though, you could put a general manager or something in charge of the location as long as you had somebody that you trusted that knew the
Yes.
business also. You could do that.
Yeah, and we have that. So typically, when you're putting somebody in charge, your labor is a little bit higher,
Yeah.
and your end's a little bit lower. I mean, that's just how it goes. If you're wanting to operate, yeah, if you're wanting
Yeah.
to operate and make a great living, it's going to be you operating. But as you grow and you add locations, some of our multi-unit owners, that's what they got. They have a general manager that looks over it,
Hmm.
and they're just in there checking on it here and there, and you know enjoying
Yeah.
life at that point.
Yeah, well, I mean, also that's why you get into you become a business owner because at some point you want to take, have the joys, you put in the labor, you put in the work, and
Sure.
you want to be able to get the rewards from it. And like I say, so it sounds like this is a good opportunity for people to be able to eventually do that. You still want to dive in. You need to learn the business because especially if you're going to step away and you're going to have a general manager, the more you know about that business and how it should be operating when it's running smoothly, the more likely, like I say, because you're handing it off to someone else, you still got to keep an eye on it. You got to make sure that they're performing, in case you have to step back in, like I say, it's still a business and it can go sideways on you.
No, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, if you just want to make it your investment, you're looking at your return's going to be different. It's going to be 7 to
Sure.
10%.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're going to be an operator and have some type of say in the day to day and a little bit more
Hmm.
hands on, you're anywhere from that 10% to 18%.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's talk training and stuff. If you're going to become a franchisee, for one, should you have a food background in this case, or does it really matter? Because I've seen, and talked to franchises where they're going to put you through so much training, you don't really need a background that's specific to that industry, food, or something else. So, what's it look like for Giovanni's?
So we require 40 hours of training prior to opening day, plus you get the entire week with our entire franchise team. The 40 hours, we select a location, normally geographically close,
Hmm.
basically, and they bring you in and just train you like you've never done it before. Um, and having a food background doesn't matter. Our two of our most recent franchisees, they've come from nursing. They were nurses
Oh
and
yeah,
they
wow,
decided to get out of it, and they've been excellent because process and procedure, like
yeah.
really good at that. So, and that matters. That's how you make your business successful is process and procedure.
Yeah, that's especially with franchises. Like I say, a lot of people invest in franchises because those processes and procedures are established. They're proven. They've been, done for years successfully in a lot of different locations. So you're buying it, into a franchise because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Somebody
Mhm.
else has figured it out for you, and it sounds like you guys have, figured it out pretty well.
Yeah, and that's what we offer, and that's the big push right now for us, because we are an old brand and established. Technology is new to us, and
Hmm.
things that we're rolling out is a franchise portal for our franchisees, a full learning management system for our franchisees, a full ticketing system for issues,
Oh.
throughout the franchise.
Hmm.
We're rolling out all kinds of technology.
Wow. Well, that's always good because it keep you on the forefront as well.
Yep.
In your experience, who makes the ideal franchisee?
Um, Someone that is willing to follow the process and procedure. The recipes that we have are proven. The processes are proven. If you follow that, then you make the ideal franchisee.
Hmm.
It's kind of the 99 to 1 rule is kind of how we go by it. Like the franchisee makes 99% of the money, but we make
Hmm.
99% of the decisions. So it
Gotcha.
kind of works out. If you follow what we're telling you, this model works and you're going to make that 99% of the money.
Hmm. So, what's the future of Giovanni's look like? Because like I say, you've got a good footprint in the states that you're in. I know you're expanding into some other states, but what are you guys striving to achieve right now?
Well, right now we're in the final phases of laying all the foundation for rapid growth. Um, in the past we've only been able to do so many store openings, but now that we're putting all this stuff into place, the foundation's there for us to grow. So we're looking at going into our 60th year in operation, ready to grow. Um,
Hmm.
right now, I think we have 5 that'll be open sometime by the end of February.
Hmm. So you got some in the works right now,
Yep.
and you're looking to add more. That's great. That's what people also want to see when they're looking at business opportunities, that the business itself wants to grow, to a certain extent, because I say it's yeah business is one of those. Yeah, when you have a community, franchises are a community of their own, and you have all these people with this common goal that they want to make this brand great. They want to succeed on an individual level, so they want to have be part of franchises that are have that same mission in mind, because it's some of them are not necessarily that way, but sounds like you guys are. You're striving for the future.
No, absolutely, and you're right. All of our franchisees, they are willing to do whatever they have to do to strengthen the brand. So
Yeah. Cool. Well, this has been fun, David. How would people that want to, find out more about Giovanni's, how would they get a hold of you? Where should they go to find information?
they can go to giovannispizza.com and go to the contact us. They can go there. They can reach out through LinkedIn. They can reach out through Facebook.
Okay. So this has been great. I love talking food. Pizza is, of course, the best of the foods. Yeah. It's been great having you on, David. My name's Cash Miller. I'm the host of Emerging Brands. I'm also the CEO of Titan Media Works. I say, if you're looking for an opportunity in the food space, and a franchise that has a proven track record, but also has a lot of room for growth and is working to grow, then you really need to check out Giovanni's. I think it's an amazing opportunity. And of course, if you love pizza, think about this: as the owner of a pizza shop, you're going to be able to sample the product as much as you want. So, hey, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode.